starting next week, Australia is banning social media for the youth over here. Now,
It's happening.
This is happening. Yes. This was sent our way by Lady Decade. She's like, hey, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So, hey, let's actually talk about this a little bit more. But there's a video here that I wanted to play. And this is from Annika Wells. Blabs, please find out a little bit more about Annika Wells here. Mm-hmm. And this is over on TikTok. Let's go to play this and hear their the justification for this really fast, because I think that we need to understand why exactly they're doing this and the benefits that they think that they will see from it. So here we are. Here is Annika Wells talking about this.
Australia will become the first country in the world to ban under 16s from having social media accounts. With one law, we can protect Generation Alpha from being sucked into purgatory by predatory algorithms described by the man who created the feature as behavioural cocaine. Teenage addiction was not a bug, it was a design feature. And on 10 December, there are going to be withdrawal symptoms. Teenagers will be upset, some will fight to get back on, some will manage to find their way around the tech and keep their accounts. But I truly believe the short-term discomfort will be worth the long-term benefits.
All right. We'll listen to the rest of this here. But Eric, you're a dad. I'm a dad, right? What are your thoughts on social media for kids?
Keep them off it as long as possible. I mean, my oldest turns 10 in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, Christmas Eve. And the only thing we allow her to do on her tablet when she uses it is like Pinterest, just to look up little recipes and little funny pictures and stuff. But nothing like TikTok or Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. That stuff is just Snapchat. Bad news.
Yeah. I have mixed feelings on this, right? I don't feel I've said for a good while, years, that I think that this will be the first time this happens. This will not be the last time this happens. All the studies show, specifically when it comes to teenage girls, that social media has a horrendous effect on them. The depression rates skyrocket when they use Instagram or any sort of TikTok or anything like that. And I think that we will reach a day where social media in particular is thought of in the same way as cigarettes. And I've said this before on the show, and I'll say it again, but there was a time where doctors were handing out cigarettes. And I'm not saying the doctor handing out social media, but it was socially acceptable to be smoking cigarettes. It was socially acceptable for youth to be on social media. But as more information came about, you learned about the adverse effects that it has on not just the kids, but society as a whole. And things were changed. And all of a sudden you had to be 18. And this lady points out this idea that, like, look, there will be kids who find their way around it. I think she's being actually fairly realistic about this. But I know, Phoenix, obviously, I have a feeling that you disagree with this idea of banning social media.
No. Like, so banning anything I get a little nervous about, but I'm 100% for, if I had a kid, first of all, they wouldn't have a phone, period. That's not happening, because look, even the games, most of the mobile games are really promoting gambling. Even worse, even with other people's money. So it's the whole thing is bad. And we even went out to dinner the other day, and the kids are on the phones about the dinner table. Everything about the phone to me is a bad idea, and social media in particular. Look, as your brain is developing at such a young age, and look, when we were in school without phones, you had people who would pick on you or whatever. Imagine if you did something stupid or whatever, and now the whole world is judging you and laughing at you when you're still developing. If you had dark thoughts in your head before, if self-harm or whatever, imagine how much that's going to really be amplified, or how much your beauty standards have to be that much better than the person you're now competing with from a different state. So the whole thing is really bad. So I don't know if banning is necessarily the right idea, but as a parent, I would say when you get a job and you can pay for a phone yourself, then you can have that phone. By that time, they're already, 17 or 18 to be able to afford something that much. So I don't know about the ban, but I do like the idea of kids not being on that in social media personally.
I think the response to this in our chat is exactly what you'd expect. A lot of people saying it's not about it's about control, not protecting your kids, and I get it, right? The idea of I don't want the government associated with pretty much any part of my life, like ever, right? But as a parent, we'll get to her logic here in a minute, but this was pointed by Shredding Fences. Everyone is a perfect parent before they actually have a kid. See that all the time. Where, hey, if it was my
I stand
kid,
by what I said. I can guarantee you, my kid would not have a phone. That's a
oh,
promise.
I know. Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know. Oh, yeah, I know that for a fact for me. But let's
First
go.
phone my kid's gonna have is a flip phone that they can just dial me if they need to get a ride somewhere or something.
Right.
So,
let's see. Here's some more of her logic here. By the way, smart move right there, Eric.
This law is world leading, and countries around the world are taking our lead. Denmark, Greece, Romania, France, New Zealand, Malaysia, the European Commission have all signalled intent to introduce a minimum age for social media. American social psychologist and author of the book The Anxious Generation, Jonathan Haidt, said, Australia's law, our law, is by far the most important single piece of legislation ever enacted on planet Earth to protect children in the internet age. 7 out of 10 kids are suffering or witnessing harm online in Australia as we speak.
I think that's that stat seems totally fucking made up, right? The idea of 7 out of 10 kids right now as we're talking, so you're telling me 100% of the kids are on a phone right now, and 70% of them are being neglected in some. I don't know. That stat seems a little crazy to me, but all right.
That is what we are trying to fix. And yes, it will be difficult. We don't shy away from the fact this is a rough transition. But like I said, every single parent who has talked to me about this since I've been the Minister for Communications has said, thank you, do not back down, and thank you for being the bad guy. Thank you for allowing me not to be the bad guy. Thank you for allowing me to say, this is against the law. The government has made this law. So I asked them to draw strength. They asked them to ask their child to write to me, if that would be of any assistance. I do video messages to transmit this message, whatever it takes. But I do not for a second think that this isn't worth doing.
Just not via Facebook Messenger, I guess.
Messenger Kids is okay.
All right. So that's kind of the premise there. So the thought process of parents actually thanking her for letting them be the bad guy instead of the parents.
Shows
right?
how bad parents have become.
There's a lot of parents want to be the kid, want to be the friend. There's definitely a lot of that.
Parent.
Yeah, I agree. I 100%
just want to be
agree.
good friends.
Yeah, they want to be
I
buddies.
don't want to be the bad guy.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with that. So I have very mixed feelings when it comes to this. I am, like I said, my entire career has been on social media. I have seen my career as social media has become prevalent since 2000. My career literally started in 2006 when the iPhone was released, and I've seen the negative effects on society from the iPhone and social media as a whole. Now, look, I've also seen a ton of positive from social media as a whole, but we've seen, adverse effects specifically when it comes to children. And look, this is personal to me. This is definitely personal to me because I do have a daughter who is teenage age, and she is she wants access to these things, and I'm continuously telling her no. But she's also smart enough to understand and comprehend why I won't allow her to have these things, because she has seen the adverse effects that social media has had on her friends. She's seen the adverse effects that having a phone has had on her friends and ultimately her. She has a dumb phone, like the dumbest of phones. a phone that we can track literally every message that's sent. We can see who her contacts are. We have to approve every contact. We can see her location at any time. We have, like, it is the most umbrella parent phone you could possibly have,
Yeah, it's
right?
like authoritarian phone.
Yes, very
Yeah.
much so, right?
Yeah, attaboy,
Because here's the thing. She's not ready for this shit,
yeah, bingo.
right? And that's my job as a parent, is to prepare her for these things. And if she can show that she is capable of doing text or having phone or being responsible, then maybe, you give her a little more responsibility, right? I have no interest in giving her untethered access to Instagram or any sort of social media, like, ever. So look, you're 100% right. From a parenting perspective, sometimes you have to be the bad guy, but there are a lot of parents out there who don't want to be the bad guy. And if they can push the blame on daddy government, then that's a win. That's a win for them, and you wonder what the positive and negative effects of something like this will happen, because I'm telling you, this will not be the last time that this happens. We will definitely see many, 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 many other countries doing something like this. And I think this will be I think this will be in the United States. Probably not this administration, but maybe
We'll go to Europe first.
Yeah. Europe's fallen as is.
Well, I'm kind of the only thing I'm surprised by is that, from my perspective, the government banning it is actually that's interesting, because you'd think that they would want kids on social media, because many times they're in bed with social media, and that allows them to kind of push whatever messages that they usually want out there. So you're actually losing that influence. So I'm hoping this is actually coming from a good place. I'm hoping, I don't know, but I do think that if that's where you're going to go, you actually have to keep going further with other things that you'd need to turn off too. Because again, if that's the only thing, they'll find another way.
The overwhelming response that I see from people in the chat is it's about digital ID. It's about digital ID. They want to be able to track everything that you're doing.
That makes sense,
right?
Yeah.
At what point is, like, you get an ID technically at 16, right? At least in the States. I don't know if digital ID makes, because I think it makes sense if they're allowing it prior to 16. But like they say, how do you judge? How do you know if people will if they're under 16 or not? Like, maybe that's the idea, is at 16 you get access to it. Maybe I'm thinking of it all wrong, but you get access to it because you get an ID, which then will allow you to have access to it. Maybe that's why I'm thinking of it incorrectly. But it's an interesting theory, man. And look, Australia has been fucked in the head for a good while, and I think we all recognize the authoritarian bullshit they had happen over there in the last 5-6 years.
Camps.
What's that?
They set up camps.
Yeah, let's not forget. But
can I throw out a real quick thing real fast?
Please.
I hope this doesn't derail, but just real fast. If, let's say, there was a law, hypothetically, and I'm not saying it should be, that wherever you are on social media, you actually had to use your real name, do you think that would solve some of this? Because I think that's the tricky question. Again, I'm not saying that we should. This is a hypothetical.
I'm going to tell you,
have to say your real name.
This conversation has been had so many times, and if you want the internet to explode, just throw out that idea.
Yep.
Throw out the idea of saying you and some people will say you need to have the ability to be anonymous online, right? And the counter argument is no, we want accountability. You need to be accountable for your words and actions, right? Man, that is a slippery slope that I think once the internet launched in its current form, like if there was ever a social media that made you log in and verify you, I'd say the closest thing would probably be Facebook right now. But
I mean, a lot of people on Facebook say stupid things under their real name. I mean, a lot of people think of Twitter, where you hear a lot of the stupid things, and a lot of that is anonymous people using handles and stuff. But Facebook is a lot of people's actual real names, real identities, and they're saying stupid shit under a whole lot of posts. Now, most Facebook users these days are, 40 up, 60 up, old people. So youth don't see that.
I will personally give you a high five if you subscribe. I will not actually give you a high five if you subscribe.